As watch enthusiasts, we love to cheer for our champions, and today's rivalry is as real as steel. Audemars Piguet versus Patek Philippe, two from Genta, both three-hand with the date, automatic full bracelet, and because it's summer, we've thrown in some frosty dials to stay cool on the sand. Today on Versus, Audemars Piguet Royal Oak versus Patek Philippe Nautilus. 1972's Audemars Piguet Royal Oak was a monumental effort by designer Gerald Genta, and it beat his Patek Nautilus to market by 4 years. But since 2012, the 15400 in stainless steel has been the stalwart of the Royal Oak line, neither a delicate living fossil like the 15202 or a Tyrannosaurus-like expression of C-suite dominance like the offshore. This is the Royal Oak that most AP fans will seek for all-around business and pleasure. 41mm was the story of the Royal Oak's 2012 model year. Now more of a mini offshore than the preceding 39 and 37mm Royal Oak automatics of years past, this one needs to be approached as though it were a 42 to 43mm round watch. All Royal Oaks were a size larger than advertised, but this one can catch even seasoned AP collectors by surprise. The key measurement is across the wrist, from mini-link to mini-link. That's almost 54mm on this watch, almost exactly what you'll find on a 44mm Panerai Luminor. At 9.9mm thick, the 15400 remains an option for formal attire and roughly 5mm thinner than any current offshore chronograph. Bezel bolts remain aligned, white gold, and sunken below the bezel plane. Extraordinary effort is invested in the even bevels, polished arcs, sharp creases, and satin sweeps of the Royal Oak. Gerald Genta identified as a jewelry designer first and foremost, and the Royal Oak continues to read as an integrated band of metallic sculpture first and a watch second. You're paying for this as much as for the movement. The screw-down crown of the 15400 doesn't improve upon the 50-meter water resistance rating of the push crown on the extra-thin 15202, but make no mistake, this is a surface swimmer, and I consider the extra-thin 15202 as splash only. AP has improved its Royal Oak bracelets at a refresh rate that would make drug-resistant bacteria jealous. Over the last 2 decades, the substance gap between AP's steel integrated bracelet and Patek's has yawned alarmingly. The latest Royal Oak 15400 bracelet feels solid enough to wear a Rolex crown, but it remains a work of art, with each piece hand-faceted, polished, grained, and beveled. And unlike that other Genta-designed sports watch, this one features removable links fixed by screws. The clasp feel is massive enough to seem at home on a Royal Oak offshore, and thanks to twin-trigger deployment, the chance of accidental release is 0. The Royal Oak's celebrated tapisserie dial now comes in 4 colors: black, gray ruthenium, boutique blue, and silver. The well-known hobnail pattern is stamped on the offshores, but it continues to be made the old-fashioned way for standard Royal Oaks. Still made on a 19th century pantograph template mimic engraver, this process has been in-house at AP since 2012. Blink and you'll miss it. The date disc on the 15400 generation is always colored to match the dial. White gold indices, hands, and AP logo offer sufficient legibility by day, but the monotone effect of white metal on silver white does provide a super clean aesthetic, even as absolute legibility suffers. Lume is provided in sufficient quantity to light the dial by night. AP introduced its 3120 in-house automatic in 2005 as it began to phase out Jaeger-LeCoultre base movements. With the hardcore offshore in mind, key design parameters included a relatively stocky 4.26mm thickness, a massive free-sprung gyromax balance, and a full balance bridge. All of these improve shock resistance. Automatic winding implies a bidirectional action since AP sought to avoid the wobble of unidirectional winding. A reversing rocker like the old JLC 889 is present but hidden. AP has not forgotten the lessons of its decades-long 40% stake in La Grande Maison. 60 hours of power reserve is solidly above average for standard mechanical automatics. A slow 21,600 vibration per hour beat rate makes this possible, and potential lost accuracy is recouped with high balance wheel mass. Oh my gosh, hacking seconds. Can you imagine a movement without this in 2018? Yeah, I can too. Finishing is a step up from previous JLC 889s and worthy of its display caseback, but this is not true across-the-board hand finish. Like many well-finished watches below the Qualité Fleurier and Geneva Seal thresholds, execution is handsome but mostly machine-assisted. Arrow straight bridge bevels are an instructive example of this. Gerald Genta and Patek Philippe's response to the eventual success of AP's Royal Oak was the 1976 Nautilus 3700. But while AP continues to make an approximation of its earliest Royal Oak in the 15202, Patek's modern Nautilus is more of a tribute to the original, with dramatically different case, bracelet, dial, and caliber. That's why the modern 5711 draws the Royal Oak 41 rather than AP's extra thin as a versus rival for today. This silver dial variant launched in 2012 as an update to 2006's 30th anniversary Nautilus 5711. On paper, this is a 40mm watch, but wingtip to wingtip, the Nautilus is a 43. But even after the rigid end links are added, the link-to-link measurement of the Nautilus is a delightfully compact 46.5mm. That's why the Nautilus 5711 1A will wear comfortably on wrists as small as 13.5 centimeters. Bevels, creases, and contrasting finish are executed with virtuosity and delicacy that speak to an entirely different sensibility than the Royal Oak's warship-inspired geometrical visage. Patek's bracelet continues to make its case as a more delicately detailed and supple counterpoint to AP's massive band. The Nautilus bracelet tapers more smoothly, its links are smaller in cross-section, and its wrist feel is one of silver silk. Each 5711 clasp offers more of the same, a low-profile, dress watch-like simplicity and grace, plus ceramic closure snaps to maintain tight tolerances at the clamshell lock. While the clamshell is tougher to open than a trigger system, it does maintain a flatter profile when closed. The solitary disappointment is the lingering presence of pin sleeve removable links. This is a lasting legacy of a 2012 model year change, but screw-down crown, caseback, and an offshore busting 120-meter water resistance dramatically rewrite the script. And the Nautilus offers a level of swim security surpassed only by AP's battlecruiser grade Royal Oak offshore diver. Even the slight recess of the Nautilus crown provides thoughtful countermeasures against accidental shearing damage. The lateral striations of the Nautilus dial are original features found on 1976's Model 3700. That said, the metallic luster and this silver dial in particular are products of the modern era. Since its 2012 launch, this variant of the Nautilus has owned the more common blue dial model for sheer legibility. Black oxidized gold indices and hands offer a punchy contrast that white gold alone cannot achieve on a light dial base. Likewise, the date features a font stroke weight and tone-on-tone anthracite stepped aperture that accentuate the disc. Though the Nautilus dial is smaller than that of the Royal Oak, the 5711's date is larger and more readable. The printed dot hashes of the minutes and seconds track exude elegance and avoid the messy business of printing across undulating dial texture. The faceting of the indices' outboard ends traces the arc of the inner bezel. Unlike the Royal Oak, the Nautilus bezel is shaped both externally and internally. Where lume is concerned, Patek offers an abundance that hammers home the outwardly elegant 5711's sports watch street cred. This one doesn't glow, it blazes. Patek Philippe's in-house caliber 324 SC is a masterpiece and a dinosaur in equal measure. Its architecture dates back decades, but modern updates have kept Patek's standard issue automatic movement competitive. Over the years, unidirectional winding, ceramic rotor bearings, and an anti-magnetic Spiromax silicone hairspring have kept this brand MVP in the game. The power reserve of 35 to 45 hours isn't, however, a basis for boasts or bluster, and you will need to develop surgeon-like hands in order to properly back pressure the non-hacking seconds hand. Syncing this thing to the second requires virtuoso guitarist feel. Eric Clapton, a noted Patek collector, would feel right at home here. At 3.26 millimeters thick with a half balance bridge, this wasn't born to be a sports watch caliber. Conversely, the finish is as exquisite as you'll find in any dress watch. Literally justifies the price premium of the Nautilus by itself. Mirrored anglage, black polished screw heads with chamfered slots and unseen polished stalks, and abrasive wheel Geneva waves, not stamped or machined, distinguish this caliber 324. All examples before mid-2009 will feature the Geneva hallmark, all since will feature the Patek seal. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak offshore advantages. It was the first. The Nautilus will forever be the watch designed as a rival to the Royal Oak. The Royal Oak is larger, more imposing, and more robust on the wrist. It's halfway between a 39mm Royal Oak extra thin and a full-blown offshore. Power reserve, movement toughness, and hacking seconds make an argument for the Royal Oak from an engineering perspective. Subjectively, I have noted that all Royal Oaks seem to inspire a more youthful and non-traditional luxury clientele. This will appeal to many, as artists, science, technology, engineering, and math professionals, young men and women seem drawn to the shape of the Royal Oak. The bracelet of the AP is built like it belongs on a Rolex. The Patek's feels fragile by comparison. Far more affordable new and pre-owned, you could own two Royal Oak 15400s for the price of a single pre-owned 5711 and still save 10 grand. If you buy new from an AP dealer, you can register your watch online with AP and extend the 2-year warranty to 5. Patek offers 2, period. Patek Philippe Nautilus advantages. The Patek Philippe 5711 is the hottest watch of our time. Despite a price increase from $24,000 US to almost 30 grand this year, the watch sells for over $50,000 US pre-owned. Thinner, more compact, and wearable on smaller wrists, the Nautilus suits more discreet tastes, as well as the sub 15 centimeter circumference wrists that cannot wear the 15400. The comfort of the Nautilus bracelet. This is a silk strap with an automatic movement attached. Nothing made of metal is more comfortable. The Nautilus offers better contrast by day and better lume by night. It offers a date you can read with ease. This is a better time teller. An older caliber architecture, but finished like fine art. The difference between a Nautilus caliber finish and that of the AP is the broadest gap between these watches, and Patek dominates. Adjusted in 6 positions, with guaranteed accuracy from the factory, and essentially amagnetic, this aging ticker remains an athlete's heart. 120-meter water resistance to the Royal Oak's 50 meters. That's dominance. And now I have to make a judgment call. My choice. As a young professional with literacy in watch history, I'm drawn to the Royal Oak. It remains edgy, progressive, balanced, and altogether it's as hip today as it was when it first wowed at Basel World 72. It's a certifiable article of modern pop culture, and this after 46 years. And Audemars Piguet is a brand that I love, on par with my adoration for Jaeger LeCoultre. But as a watch connoisseur, I've often found more satisfaction in the relationships I've forged with older friends in the collecting fraternity. Beauty is timeless, and products of the hand carry enduring value that pop culture rarely acknowledges. I'm an old soul at heart, and the Nautilus is my soulmate.